Medill Performing Arts, the energy does not stop. From room to room, dancers hone their craft. That includes a group of dancers that might not have been here a few years ago.
I would say between 25 and 30 boys.
This is just one class full of preteen and teenage boys with talents that you have to see to believe.
It has become so much more prevalent for boys to dance.
It's a passion that Superior High School freshman Kaden Johnson has shared for 11 years, dancing competitively for 8.
I love being able to express my emotion but not being able to say anything and present this is our dance, this is what we're doing to entertain you.
We first met him last year when he was excited to be accepted onto the Superior dance team. But when it came time to compete in a Lake Superior conference with Minnesota schools, he found himself on the sidelines.
When they first heard about it, they're like, Kaden, you can't dance, you're not allowed to dance. And in my head I was like, what do they mean by that?
It comes down to a Minnesota Title IX rule that says boys cannot be on the dance team. And since Minnesota judges were at the competition, the Superior Wisconsin team had to follow their rules.
I was angry. I was so angry because how is this even possible that there's this sort of discrimination? It's really what it is. It's discrimination against the males.
We spoke with the associate director of the Minnesota High School Dance Team Association over the phone. He said the rule is meant to protect girls in sports.
It precludes males from being on teams that are for females. And that was brought in at the time of Title IX when girls athletics were first started. And the idea behind that was to protect those teams and not take away opportunities for females. Females can participate on male teams, but not vice versa.
It's a law that Kaden says is outdated and it needs to change.
You with the team and be united as one instead of just sitting and supporting them.
And he's not alone. Staff at Medill says the rule could affect many more boys in the future.
It makes me angry. I'm hoping that we can change that.
But the associate director of the High School Dance Team Association says they've only had a handful of boys wanting to join Minnesota teams, and changing the rule is more complicated than it seems.
And part of the issue you run into with that is gender equity. And a lot of our schools have girls' dance team, and that counts as one of their girls' sports to balance the number of boy sports.
A tangled web that's little comfort to young dancers like Kaden.
If these boys want to dance, let them dance. We let our kids play sports if they want, and we let them be artists if they want, and, why can't they dance?
Tonight, an update to a story we brought you first on Fox 21 earlier this year. A high school male dance student from Superior who's able to compete in Wisconsin, but is forced to sit out in Minnesota competition because he's a boy.
You might remember Superior sophomore Kaden Johnson. He is on the Superior dance team. We first did a story about him about a year ago after he joined the team. It was only a few weeks after that story that his heart was broken when his team was supposed to compete against Minnesota schools, and he was told that he can't because it's against rules, because unlike Wisconsin, Minnesota does not allow boys on dance teams.
You can't dance, you're not allowed to dance. And in my head I was like, what do they mean by that?
How is this even possible that there's this sort of discrimination? It's really what it is. It's discrimination against the males.
Now, Kaden and his mom there were wanting change when he spoke to us back in May, hoping that the next school year he would be able to compete. Well, tonight that wish might be closer to reality. After our story aired last spring, I was contacted by a nonprofit legal foundation who wanted to help him. And today we've learned that that nonprofit sent a powerful message to the Minnesota High School League: change your policy and let boys dance or face a lawsuit.
The Pacific Legal Foundation says it all started with our Fox 21 story about Kaden.
We became involved actually after reading an article written by your organization and written by you specifically that was forwarded to me by someone who had read it all the way out in Washington, D.C.
They decided to do some research and step in. Back in May, Kevin Merkel, the associate director of the Minnesota High School Dance Team Association, told us on the phone that boys couldn't dance in Minnesota because of Title IX.
It precludes males from being on teams that are for females. And that was brought in at the time of Title IX when girls athletics were first started. And the idea behind that was to protect those teams and not take away opportunities for females. Females can participate on male teams, but not vice versa.
But the foundation says a person's sex shouldn't determine opportunities in high school, and they believe the bylaw that hasn't been updated since the 1970s violates Caden's and many males' constitutional rights in Minnesota. The foundation sent a letter to the Minnesota High School League letting them know they have 3 weeks to allow boys to dance or face a lawsuit.
We need an answer by then because the dance season is about to start. And not only Caden, but there are hundreds of Minnesota boys who have contacted Pacific Legal Foundation that really want the opportunity to dance at their high school.
It's only been 1 day, but so far the foundation says it hasn't heard anything from the league.
They have been silent today, and they've been silent for 6 months. So it's time for them to justify their discriminatory policy or change it.
Now, officials from the Minnesota High School League haven't responded to my request for comment either today. The foundation says if nothing happens by November 3rd, they'll be filing a lawsuit in federal court.